Hello, this will be a quick video talking about the concept of AI agents and how to use the OpenAI agents SDK to create some practical use cases agents. Basically, the first point that we need to talk about is the concept of agent itself. We have multiple ways to interact with LLMs using OpenAI, Cloud, DeepSeek, and other uh, large language models available into the market. But the agents are basically the use into the current meaning of the term. It's the use of these LLMs, these large language models, to interact with tools to make things in brief. This concept has major considerations into the academy, and it's not a consensus. The concept overall, you can see different definitions, but in practical terms, it's something that has agency. So something that could make actions by itself and be able to make decisions and get actions, make actions into practical scenarios. In brief, it's basically that. Into a normal interaction with LLMs, the user can receive responses in brief. If you talk with OpenAI, it could be able to return you what you ask to them. And into an agent, you can add the capability of the LLM to interact with tools and make actions for you, being able to make multiple rounds of operations. So, with having the agency to interact with their tools and with their base instructions to complete the action that you provided. Yeah, for that, first view, we'll see the OpenAI Agent SDK documentation. It's something very useful to get the my points not only for agents, but for this specific SDK that we'll talk into this video. Now to see all the points, I'll just take a look into the my point of the SDK. And briefly for this framework, it's necessary to understand Python. You need to use this language to make the interaction. And we have three main concepts that are used in documentation into the framework itself. The agents, basically into this case LLMs with instructions and tools. Handoffs that are basically if I want to get just a response, I can send a message to an LLM to get a response. If I need to get the question, for example, of an image with AI, I can use an agent to talk to this agent what type of image I want, and the two to interact with LLM and the two to build this image for me. It could be used with different approach, not only the creation of image. So if I need the price of Bitcoin, I need to get a joke, get the winner of some location, example San Francisco or other location, and all these actions could be handled by tools with LLMs and be structured as agents in which to get them knowing what are the my focus of the use of this specific element. It's going to be more clear with the examples. The handoff idea enable to make the delegation of tasks, and it's very useful for example, into the case you have an agent that create images or that create videos. You can create a triage agent that make the handoff for the specific agent. So this agent to be able to handle it in a better way, right? And the third concept mentioned in the documentation is the guardrails. In brief, the guardrails are some type of validation enabled into the OpenAI SDK, and you need to define into the guardrails what is expected to be visualized into your conversation, into your bot, your chatbot, in brief, to avoid misuse, to avoid that it could be used into an unintended way. It's very useful in production environments. Um, Also, with the OpenAI agent SDK, we have the platform, the OpenAI platform, to make the integration, to be able to see tracing and the other useful information for production use cases. Right? We have here additional information. Here is the lib. There's a lib at the moment of the OpenAI agents, and to configure it to be able to interact with the OpenAI API, you need to export this variable and it to make the connection with the OpenAI platform. You need to create an account in the OpenAI platform and get the API key to use this type of integration. It will cost some money, but it will depend a lot on the model that you're using. It's the cost of the LLM birth, for example. Uh, Maybe we have additional cost to this case related to the agentic workflow, but it's not mentioned here in the documentation. It's necessary to get a look into the OpenAI reference. It's not, it's something very cheap, at least for testing environments. For more complex products, I recommend to take a look into the reference. Here into the Quickstart, we can see additional information with some example of simple agent, a math tutor with some instructions. This agent will just interact with math problems. We can make multiple agents, a history tutor and a math tutor, for example, in this case, and build a handoff for these agents using a fourth agent named preach agent. Right, you can see here, determine which agent to use based on user remote question. To make the conversation of the triage agent, you can just send it with the runner orchestrator for the agents. And if it's the main user case, you can use the guardrail to structure how it's the expected format to receive the information in brief. Right here we have an example with the agents, the guardrail to make the verifications. And this example is very interesting because it's the information from the history agent into this case. And this second case, what is life? It's not exactly a user question into this case, so the guardrail will block this type of question, right? Uh, for this specific video, just show this point, we have a lot of options here to analyze, but my visualization, my points of the SDK are described here. The other points are really how to create tools, how to make the things with more information. For that, you have the examples, the OpenAI examples, GitHub. Here we have the OpenAI repository into GitHub. You can see here a lot of information and examples. And for us, the examples are the most important aspect. Here is the platform in overview, the OpenAI platform, right? A lot of examples available here. And for example, we have some common agent patterns, right? That could be used the agents as a tools. You can use uh, something very near what we verified into the math agent, but into this case, for example, if I want my agent to be able to talk in Spanish, it could be used as a tool into this case, or French or Italian. And if I try to use a different approach, not some of these three languages into this specific case here, it will not execute, it will not return because this specific translation is not supported by the orchestrator agent, right? You can make a lot of modifications. Another very interesting example here, it's related to the tools part because you can see how to make some additional integrations, right? To this case, the upsearch tool. We can make a specific software to become N2. For example, we can see here how to make functions, tools with functions. It's very useful for building integration with APIs, making specific integration with replicate, getting data from the internet. And I want to end the video specifically showing my example repository, right? Yeah, brief. It's available into the GitHub with the following situation. Introduction examples from the OpenAI available here, and some other derivations available from the sixth example in brief. Okay, for example, for the introduction, I already have defined the data. Basically, need to have the .env example defined, install all the libraries using the pip command that's everything defined here into the readme. You can see here some commands: pip install OpenAI agents, pip install python.env, and for example, into the simple agent, the example that we see into the Quickstart, it's already structured here. We can see it being executed.
Okay, now you start the, the simple chat visualization. For example, here we can see that into this example, I will just unify all the aspects that mentioned to the other example, showing how to use them together to make a chat structure. Right here we have a chat context operation with to store the history, some functions to get jokes, get the price of Bitcoin, and here the example itself with these two tools, Bitcoin and jokes, and the trade will be able to send the user to some of them. The user will be able to interact with them, and we'll see the return. Simple code, right? Let's see it running. Okay, I'll send just a message. Hi, let me see. How can I assist you today? What is the Bitcoin price today? Testing received an error. Uh, Let me try to remove it to make it easier. What is the price of Bitcoin today? Great. Let me see here. Okay, we don't have the API information. Let me try to change it. Current Bitcoin price is $100,000. Let me see if it works. Okay, it worked. Great. Okay, how you can see, it has the information. Let me see if it stored information about the history. My name is John. Just example. What is my name? John. Okay, it has an history and it could use this history. What's very good. What was the Bitcoin price? What was the Bitcoin price earlier in the conversation? Okay, it has also because you can see here that it's different approach into the others. Okay, let's see the next example. Here we have an example using the API keys. So with this same approach, you can use it to make interaction with more complex APIs. For example, some API that could create something, interact something using a common service, something like that, right? So with here, I can literally get information from the reader, the time, the news, search for news. Let me test it. Hi, okay, what is the Bitcoin price to now? Okay, I'll make the same fix that I did into the other approach. Just a moment. What is the Bitcoin price today? Okay, it tells me the price of Bitcoin using API. What is the weather in San Francisco? Let's make the request to the API internally. Okay, it was not able. I don't know the reason. But okay, what time is now? It's a good point. It's interesting. What the time is now? GMT 0. Interesting. Okay, let's go to the next one. The difference between this one and the other, the 80 example 8, it's basically that it uses an user interface to enable easier usability. It uses grad.io. Oh, it's necessary to install it. We'll add to the requirements. Okay, okay, it's available. Okay, now you can see the APIs that they mentioned. We have some development related to the addition of new APIs. I don't analyze this aspect at the moment, but mainly the API that we already validated. Let's see what's the response, what's the leader in London. Let's determine the error. Why? It's the model problem. I am sure about that. Yes, no problem. I think that now it works as expected. What's the weather in London? Okay, to turn as expected. What is the price of Bitcoin? Great, very good. It's the expected behavior at the moment. If you don't know Gradle, it's a very good project that enable the creation of this type of interface. It's very interesting. You can try to register an API, although in theory it has support to that, but I believe that I didn't make so much tests into this aspect. I will not use that related to the size of the video. I believe that may not interesting. Also, this voice example, I made some tests of it to not it needs to be running into a desktop basically with a specific characters related to the sound device library. So for this specific environment here, it will not work as expected. But you can make changes into the code, make verifications. I believe that will be a very great experience. If you have some doubt, some question, or some additional point, you can send comments uh, or touching or in contact directly. Thank you for your time. I wish you that you have learned main points into this video.